Hello, horror fans. I am your horror host, Inkarnate, welcoming you back to another movie preview in the form of the PreCaution. So, what we have on tap for this afternoon slash evening is a little ditty that goes by Whistle. So I first learned about this quite some time ago. One thing that had caught my eye was Daphne Keane. I'm saying to myself, cool that she's getting work. I always thought that, as a child actress, that she had presence. And I'm curious as to see when, in a horror capacity, what it is that she's able to provide to this particular film, and how it is that she's able to portray herself as the leading lady, seemingly. So let's get to the premise. A group of misfit high school students who find an ancient Aztec death whistle, discovering that blowing it summons their literal future deaths to hunt them down. They must then race to understand the artifact and stop the inevitable killings, as the terrifying sound unleashes supernatural stalkers on them and their friends. So, a couple of things there. I am always interested in teen horror when it deviates away from the standard slasher formula. You know what I mean? For me, it's a good sign for the genre in general when it's able to find different types of premises to follow that with teenagers that doesn't go the usual route of a masked maniac. Just because my thoughts and feelings on the slasher genre aside, I think it's just a good thing overall when we can have a little bit of variety. You know what I mean? So, this particular premise of a supernatural death or being stalked by something otherworldly, we've seen this a lot lately with films like Final Destination, I think it was called Bloodlines. Also with Smile 2, Truth or Dare, Talk to Me. So again, it's always it's always just annoying, and it takes you right out of the premise of whatever is being portrayed to you when you have these like annoying, idiotic teenager characters. Look no further than Alien Earth. But something from the trailers gave the impression, probably was the serious tone. You don't get much in the way of characterization, but no one looked particularly what's the word I'm looking for? No one looked exceptionally obnoxious, you know what I mean? And you do get that from time to time with trailers that attempts to be relatable when, if anything, it's just off-putting in terms of its characters. So, and God, have we, in terms of annoying teenagers, not to harp on that too much, but I think we've gotten enough of that in Starfleet Academy for all the 5 people still watching that trash. But again, from the serious tone of the trailer, I got the impression that this is something different than what we're used to. I am curious to see all the supernatural forms that these figments, these avatars for death, are going to assume. I have to believe that it won't just be the doppelgangers of the teenagers that comes after them. My hope is that they create interesting, unique horror scenarios. I'm not a gore hound. I've been very explicit about that. So, but I do appreciate imaginative death scenes. I am still hoping for things like tension, for character, for story. I just got finished doing my Iron Lung PreCaution and Aftershock last week, so I feel the need to reiterate that these fundamental aspects of storytelling are still important. So, I have to believe that, I have to hope that we're not just going to be treated to a nightmare version of Daphne Keane, or one of the students sees a dark reflection of himself and it just happens to have like blue eyes or something like that. I'm hoping for a little bit more creativity. And I'm curious as to how they will tackle I'm not looking for exposition, but I am curious as to how they will tackle this peace pipe that summons the deaths of these teenagers. Again, I'm not looking for exposition, but it would be nice if you give a little bit of intrigue and backstory that only adds to the mystique and the eeriness of the scenario that these people find themselves in. So again, I'm curious to see the forms that death takes. I'm curious to see the scenarios that these students find themselves in that ultimately lead to their demise. And I am hoping that while I am trying to be I'm trying to be upfront that my hope is not that it just gets to, oh, and this is how you dodge the nightmare monster coming for you. I am hoping that with subtle storytelling that there is a way to escape this particular curse that these students have brought upon themselves. And there have been ways of tackling that for instance, in the film It Follows, that's over a decade old now. There was a way of like temporarily passing on whatever curse had befallen you. So that could be a means of stopping this, but I am also curious to see if there is a way of ridding yourself of this death curse that doesn't involve that doesn't involve passing on the curse to someone else, but maybe involves some kind of ritual. So I am off to the theater. I'm hopeful for this one, just because it doesn't feel like our standard teen horror fare. I am curious as to whether or not, or I should say how, this threat is brought upon the children. From the trailers, it just looks like it falls out of Daphne Keene's book bag. So I'm hoping that there is more to the story than that, but we will see. I do invite you back to listen in on my aftershock. So this is obviously my PreCaution, my movie preview. Once I get back from the theater, I always follow up with my reaction video, which I refer to as my aftershock. So I invite you all to take a gander at that. And again, I'm optimistic for this one. This film looks to be limited theatric release. It's not even playing in the theater near me. And I don't always support independent filmmaking just because it's independent. I like for there to be experimentation. I like for there to be thinking outside of the box. And I'm hoping that as a young actress that Daphne Keene has picked this role because of intrigue that she found in the script. So I, for one, am optimistic about this. I've been pretty much hooked since I first heard of this. So I will report back with my aftershock, which I will invite you all to take a look at. And this is actually the fourth horror film to release within just as many weeks. So I do take. I hope you'll take the time to listen to my PreCaution movie previews, aftershock reaction videos of 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, Return to Silent Hill, last week's Iron Lung with Markiplier. So now this week we have Whistle, and then next week will be Gale, Yellow Brick Road. So I will be doing my reaction video upon my return, but for now, I am off to the theater. I've been Inkarnate, reminding you, I ain't just a big deal, I'm the real deal. If you're resigned to your fate, time to subscribe to your fears.
Warn your friends.